Hello, folks. This is kind of a different thing for me. I don't usually do narrated videos, so bear with me. But basically, I like to tinker and do different things. And what we have here is an AA4 tube amplifier for guitar, um, any instrument really. And the schematic is freely available on the internet in a couple of different places, and there's a couple places where folks have posted their builds, and well, this is mine, and no one's really ever made a video of how it sounds or anything like that. So we'll go through all that right now. Basically, I'll start by giving a tour of the tubes installed in this unit. We have the rectifier, which is a 50 DC4. It's basically the same thing as a 35W4 that's used in a lot of old radios, but this guy consumes 50 volts instead of 35, and it eliminates the need for a 75 ohm power resistor in this circuit. This is our output tube. It's a 50C5. It was used in a lot of old record players from the 50s and early 60s, and also a lot of tube radios, AA5s, of course, in the early 50s up to about 1960 or so. And what we have here are two 12 AT6s. I don't necessarily recommend AV6s in this amp circuit. It makes it much too fuzzy and glitchy in my experience, but at any rate, I'm using AT6s because I have quite a few. Our power transformer is a Hammond 125 ASE. Basically, this is running an 8 ohm load at 2500 ohms, and that's about the perfect load resistance for the 50C5, and it sounds pretty good. Our speaker cabinet is an old Voice of Music phonograph speaker that has two 6-inch speakers in it. It measures a perfect 8 ohms, so thus I'm using it with this amp. Before anyone gets excited and says that this is a hot chassis circuit, yeah, it is, but I have a Triad N68X isolation transformer installed. There is a fuse on the inside to go through our controls. We've got an on-off switch, tone pot, which is 250K, a volume pot, which is 500K, and my design just has one jack. That's easiest for me. I play a lot of lap steel. I play some electric guitar sometimes. So, that's just something that I felt was easiest for me. Mine has a wonderful 3-prong cord on it. I will give a shot of the insides here. Basically, the inside of the amp, our filter caps, the original schematic says to use a 220 ohm at 160 volts. Well, I'm using 100 ohm at 160 volts, 100 microfarad at 160 volts. And our second cap here is a 47 microfarad at 160 volts. I also beefed up the bleeder resistor. Mine is a 6.2K 1 watt resistor. The schematic says a 3.3K half watt will do the job, but better safe than sorry in my view. Moving along, our bias caps on the two 12 AT6s. One is, actually they're both the same. They're both 47 microfarad, 25 volt capacitors. And I'm handling cathode bypass for the 50C5 with a switchable option here. We've got the top is a 47 and the bottom is a 22. And there's our speaker jack and the boost selector switch. You will see here that there's a fuse holder. There's a 1 amp fuse installed in there. You see where the ground for the power cord, the 3-prong cord, ties to the ground from the triad, and there's the triad right there, and there's some wiring down here where the neutral links up with the neutral side of the primary on the triad, and there's the fuse meets up with the hot side, and that goes to the switch. Now, I know part of doing a demo of something is that you have to demonstrate it working. So what we will do is plug this guy in and get some sounds out of it. I do want to make sure that the bypass cap is set to the middle position. It's a 3-position switch. The middle is off and the bottom is 22 microfarad and the top is 47. So I'm going to go ahead and plug in here to the input jack. And we're using a Morel lap steel. And since I'm using my phone to record, I don't know how much great playing I'm going to do with this. I'm just going to demonstrate what it sounds like, you know, to some degree. I may put the phone down and play for a little bit. I don't know. We'll just keep it stream of conscious here. And so we have engaged power, and we have lights on the filament string, and you can hear there's some tube amp on, and this is pretty far up. Let's start out a little lower. And here's the tone knob. Obviously we can demonstrate that to some degree. At lower settings, you can use the boost to give it a little bump. As you can hear, that's the bottom. If I go to the top, we get a little more bass and presence and whatnot. Just this guy a little bit here. And so, you know, I'd say we're pretty low here on the volume, and it gets a good clean sound. I'll demonstrate it here real quick, but I have to put the phone down. So that will serve as our demonstration of the clean tone. Now we're going to get into the dirty tones. Basically, the drive's up about... Oh, and the volume on the guitar was rolled back a bit too. So this is the drive, pretty much 75% up. It's basically like an old catalog type silvertone or something like steroids with that. If you engage the boost, it gets a little nastier. That was the 22 on the bottom on the switch. And here is 47. And you can, of course, turn up the gain a little bit more. It's not feeding back yet. But at any rate, I'll play a little bit. I'm going to turn the mode off and kind of give a feel for what it sounds like in its native bias setting with just the resistor. Noted earlier, I think the speaker cabinet choice for this guy is fairly well matched. It came from a I'll turn the amp off now. We've heard what it sounds like. It's not an extensive demo, but it's enough to give an idea here. And this speaker cabinet basically came from a Voice of Music phonograph that was running a 50L6. Of course, the 50L6 was superseded by the 50B5 and then the 50C5 in terms of output tubes. And that's when miniature sockets came into use. There was a Underwriter's Lab issue with the 50B5, basically because of the location of a few things. I think the cathode was right next to the heater or something, and so RCA released the 50C5 standard, and that was adopted by pretty much all the AA4 manufacturers back here. So this amp, I think the cost to build it in parts and whatnot, a little less than $200. I don't think it's a truly, I don't think it's as versatile as some of the solid state jobs that are made now or anything like that. But if you're into the old school kind of tone and you like to tinker kind of like I do, I get into this kind of stuff and just I like a bluesy Chicago type sound. This guy definitely has that going on. So thanks for watching if you made it this far, and hope to get back to coming up with some other stuff to tinker with. Might not necessarily be a guitar amp. It could very well be. I don't know. You may have seen my other videos on my channel about my record cutter that I restored. I tinker with these things because I like old sounds, and there's not much stuff that makes the old sounds these days. So basically, thanks for watching, and hope you enjoyed the content.